UNLV Microcertificate Economics. What we want to talk about in this little video is the basics of trade, a little history, a little geography, a little life. We'll get more detailed in trade later, but we want in our minds to think about some things that are important. So, thing number one, you walk into a store, you pay them money, you walk out with something. Did they just take advantage of you? In economics, from maybe 1100-ish up through the 1700s, the dominant theory of how the economy worked internationally was called mercantilism. The mercantilists believed, they didn't call themselves that, by the way, we call themselves that. They believed that when you traded with someone, you lost. If you got stuff, whoever got the money won, whoever got the stuff lost. So according to them, when you go into Subway and you pay $5 to get a sandwich, Subway just whooped you. They gained because they got $5, you lost because you ended up with a sandwich. The most prominent mercantilist person is a man named Thomas Munn, who was one of the directors of the East India Tea Company, one of the largest companies in the world. And he said that trade is a form of war. He said that trade, not guns, trade is the terror of our enemies and the sinews of war. He believed that the way to build a strong country was through trade, and in particular, the mercantilists believed that the government was necessary and required for the economy to do well, that the government had to control trade for the economy to do well. So along comes the future. We have colonies. The United States, as a colony of England, is exploited by England as a way to help make England richer. All of the European countries get rich at the expense of their colonies in Africa and in North and South America, Asia. So the big thinker we need to talk about is a man named Adam Smith. Adam Smith publishes a book in 1776. It's based on the philosophy of John Locke. That philosophy says that we as individuals have rights, not that the king gives us rights, but that God gives each individual rights, and that the king is the king at the whim of the people. Adam Smith, Thomas Jefferson, and the Declaration of Independence, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men, and yes, they meant white male property owners, but ignoring that for now, all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That was originally life, liberty, and property in John Locke, but close enough. Governments are created among men. The government is created to protect and serve us, not the other way around. Okay, so Adam Smith, the same year that the Declaration of Independence is published, Adam Smith publishes a book which we call The Wealth of Nations. It actually has a much longer title. And in that, Adam Smith goes through and talks about how markets are the key to the economy working right, how individual choice, how us working together, buyers and sellers, each pursuing their own self-interest and doing what's right for them, is going to do way better than the government trying to tell us how it is that we should live our lives. Adam Smith tells us what's necessary for markets to work right. And what that is maybe three things in general. One is there has to be competition. There have to be lots of buyers and lots of sellers. If you're going to go buy something, you have to actually have choice. If the business is going to sell something, they have to have lots of customers who want to buy their product. Two, there has to be good information. The consumers have to know what it is that the buyers are really selling. The buyers have to know what it is that the consumers want. They have to kind of know each other. As soon as one party, one side doesn't know what the other side is doing, then there's room for shenanigans. And then lastly, there has to be this freedom of choice. Businesses have to be free to produce what they want. They don't have to be told what shoe it is that they need to produce. They figure it out, and if they figure it out wrong, they take the consequences. You as a consumer have choice of what you buy. Businesses get to choose what it is that they're going to sell, and that's how markets work. Competition. Adam Smith referred to competition as the invisible hand, that there's within the market, there's this invisible hand that makes it do the right thing. And that invisible hand is this competition among buyers and sellers to do right. Lots of buyers, lots of sellers, lots of competition and interaction, all with good knowledge of what's going on in the marketplace. So the mercantilists, again, believe that all trades have winners and losers. And because trades have winners and losers, the government should be involved in trade and control it so that we win and they, whoever they is, lose. Adam Smith says, now wait a second. We don't do these things because someone makes us. We don't take our $5, and of course, there weren't Subways back then, but ignore that. We don't take our $5 to Subway and buy lunch because we think Subway's ripping us off. We trade Subway $5 for that sandwich because we think that sandwich is worth at least $5. We walk out of there thinking we made a good deal and the store thinks they made a good deal. Trades are voluntary. We choose whether or not to buy something. The store chooses whether or not to sell it to us at that price. As long as trades are voluntary, as long as we're free to choose what it is we're going to buy, Adam Smith tells us the trade has to benefit both sides. Otherwise, you wouldn't make it. So big underlying controversy. And in the end, you can look at it as the mercantilists are more concerned about their country than they are about the people who live in their country. So Queen Elizabeth, during her reign, they had maximum wage laws in England, not minimum wage laws. They had maximum wage laws. There were limits on how much a worker in a factory could get paid. Depending on your occupation, there might be limits on the maximum amount you can get paid. It's all about keeping prices low and being competitive globally. It's about being good to the country, not good to the individual. Adam Smith's theory says what matters in the world is individuals. What matters in the world is us as an individual, our rights, our way of living. We should get to choose, and the way we get to choose is through free trade. Okay? So Adam Smith and one of his followers, David Ricardo, and they didn't meet. Adam Smith was dead before Ricardo really became an economist. Ricardo was actually a stockbroker, but it wrote the first really economics textbook kind of thing. They figure out how it is that you gain. If everybody benefits from trade, how do we gain as individuals? And the answer to that question is we have to specialize. We specialize in something that we're really good at and then trade as much as we can with other people. Mercantilism says you have to make everything inside your country because you're not going to trade. You're going to sell stuff, you're going to export to other countries, but you're not going to import. So you have to make everything domestically. Well, your country's not going to be good at making everything. So you're going to be inefficient. You're going to be a poor producer of some things. Adam Smith, David Ricardo says, look, no, that's silly. What you want to do is produce the things that you're really good at, buy things from other countries that are really good at those things, sell them the things you're really good at. Specialize and trade. That's how you make your country rich in Adam Smith's world. So we have the classical economic view, what's called the comparative advantage rule, which is that you specialize and trade. Mercantilists say, nope, export but don't import, produce everything at home. Comparative advantage, find out what's going on. Okay, so how does this compare with globalization? We hear this phrase, globalization or globalists or all this other stuff, and there's some relationship in the sense that globalists are free traders, the people who believe in globalization. But globalization is not trade. Globalization is about the economic integration of countries. Trade is we make oranges and sell them to you, you make watches and sell them to us. Globalization is you build car parts, we build cars. You can't sell your car parts if we aren't selling cars. We can't make cars if you don't sell us car parts. The economies of the two countries are tied together. This started, the first time it happened, it was successful, was in the Roman era, and then again in Columbus's era, and then again in the 1800s, and then now, and that all has to do with technology. There are innovations in technology which change the way we produce, and that creates the opportunity for globalization to do something meaningful in our economy. Is globalization good or bad? Well, if you ask the Europeans, globalization in Columbus's time was great. Made them all rich, made the European nations the richest countries on earth. If you ask the Native Americans what they think about the era of globalization, the ones that are still around will tell you that it almost destroyed their people. In fact, destroyed many tribes and many groups of indigenous people. So globalization always has winners and losers. It always creates problems for some people and benefits others. If you look at the United States over the last 20 years, you can see states that have boomed because our economy is globalized, and you can see other states where things haven't gone as well. You can see presidential elections that are in many ways determined by the fact that some parts of the country do better than others when we globalize.